Oh, hi. It's you. Hello. Remember me? Maybe. It's your old pal Nathan from Guardian Project. I was hoping you'd stop by. We sure do have a lot to talk about. It's been a minute. It's been a year. And I know we've all been through a lot in our lives, our world, and our work on tour. The work never seems to end. It can be hard. It can be really hard. It's been 15 years for me since I started to work on Tor, bringing it to Android devices, working on apps like Orbot. And I'm still excited. I'm still excited to share all the great things that we've been doing. I know it's hard. It's easy to feel down and overwhelmed sometimes, whether it's because of fears of quantum computing, cryptographic backdoors, or misuse and abuse of technology we create. But I remain optimistic. Why? Well, let me tell you why. I've been doing a lot of work trying to pull together all the different resources, innovations, ideas about how you can build Tor into a mobile app, to a mobile tool, different exciting things that people are doing that we couldn't ever dream up, but that other developers are doing. And we're excited to share that with you through the website called onionmobile.dev, the Onion Mobile Developer site. There's a lot of great content up there. There's guides and tutorials, case studies, and history, some ideas for the future. If you want to learn how you might use Tor in a mobile app, that's the place to go. You'll see all the great work that developers like Benjamin Earhart have been doing on iOS and macOS. All the efforts we've done to take pluggable transport technology, keep updating that to make Tor harder to block, and how that's available in a really beautiful library that called IPT Proxy that is being co-developed now with the Tor anti-censorship team. And as part of the new Tor VPN that's going to be coming out. It's a whole ecosystem that we've been creating here. And beyond the apps that we build, like Onion Browser and Orbot and Onion Share, there's a whole bunch of other really cool apps out there that we want to highlight here. We've talked in the past about Rethink DNS, which is a firewall, secure DNS, ad spam blocking, all-in-one super utility. And it integrates really nicely with Orbot and Tor services, which is a lighter version of Orbot you can run with apps like this. Check out Rethink. It's super powerful if you want to control all the traffic in and out of your device and integrate with Tor. There's another really cool utility we learned about this year called WebMon. It allows you to monitor websites from your phone, sites you're hosting, to make sure that they are up and running. But not only websites, but Onion sites too. So this allows you to monitor that Onion sites are reachable. Again, integrating with Tor, Tor services on your phone. It's really cool. There's another app called Moomla, which uses the Mumble push-to-talk protocol, but again integrates with Tor on the phone, so you can do Mumble over Onion services for truly decentralized, confidentially routed through Tor network voice push-to-talk. And there's another project called Monocles, which is a browser and secure chat that integrates Tor in its own way. Really excited that there's so many different ways we can showcase Tor in the world. And you'll hear about other apps today, other projects out there that are doing this. What gets me excited about the future, though, is that we're making it even easier. Through Arty, which you maybe learned about last week, the Rust runtime for Tor, we're now creating the Arty mobile library, which has been up for a while and it just keeps improving. We have sample code on onionmobile.dev to show you how to integrate that. It'd be the most secure Tor daemon, Tor library, so easy to integrate in any Android and iOS app. And then you can plug that right in with the pluggable transport libraries too. Support Snowflake and WebTunnel and all of the latest anti-censorship techniques. So we have a great sample app that showcases how to do that. So we really believe that more and more applications, news applications, chat applications, utilities, firewalls, they want to make it as safe and confidential and secure as possible for their communities, and getting Tor integrated into that we really continue to move Tor beyond the browser is so essential. So, I hope that brings you a little hope, makes you feel a little bit more calm, gives you a thing to focus on moving forward. We're making Tor better and easier on mobile for all kinds of developers. That makes me smile. Thank you for your time today. Take care.
Wow, thank you for the Onion meditation session, Nathan, and welcome everyone to the Community Day of State of the Onion. My name is Al Smith. I'm the Director of Fundraising at the Tor Project, and Community Day is always such a great session full of people doing some really important world-saving stuff, and Nathan just set us off on the right chill path for the day. Before I dive in, And before we get to the rest of the sessions, I want to talk a little bit about the vision behind Tor and what drives so many people to be a part of this community and to participate in this way. Every day at the Tor Project, we focus on making it easier for people to access the internet and harder for censors to block Tor. And we are all doing this because everyone, everywhere, has the right to speak, browse, and search with freedom and with privacy. Fighting for everyone to be able to exercise these rights is what we're doing every day by making Tor faster, more stable, and more usable. It's an important fight and one that's not easy or going away. Even in the face of many adversaries, Tor's greatest strength is that no matter who is in power, Tor is resilient. Tor is a network that can't be taken offline or dismantled by one person or one company or one government. We've seen this happen with social media platforms and apps we've depended on, and even some privacy-focused services. Something in the wind changes or the economy changes, and suddenly these tools we relied on have gone, or they've changed in such a way that they harm us instead of help us. Tor was built from the beginning to be different, and we're still following that guiding vision. Instead of a centralized tool, Tor is a collective and distributed effort led by individuals and organizations with a variety of goals. We are here to fight corporate surveillance, provide accessible privacy, and help people access free information. This is truly only possible as a collective. Tor's strength is in its diversity and its distribution. Its strength is all of you, everyone here today presenting as part of the community, everyone in the audience, contributing to something bigger than ourselves in the name of human rights and privacy and freedom. When you become a donor to the Tor Project, you're joining this collective of people who are fighting for privacy and freedom. And every gift, no matter the size, makes a difference. We're able to keep going because of the many supporters who stand up and chip in. And in fact, most donations to the Tor Project last year were $25 or less, and these contributions add up to power the Tor Project. You don't need to make a big gift to make a big difference. While donations are not the only way to contribute, they are a very important part of a web of actions you can take to fight for privacy and freedom online, and we do need your support to keep up the fight. Now is a great time to give because a generous donor has pledged to match all donations made from now to through the end of the year. That means if you give $25, this donor will give $25, in effect matching your donation. Your donation becomes $50. Every gift is essentially doubled. On top of contributing to a community of like-minded privacy advocates, donating at certain levels will also qualify you to get some pretty excellent thank you gifts like this Tor hat. So how can you donate? It's easy, donate.torproject.org. All donations to our website are tax deductible in the US, and you can donate in whatever way makes sense for you, online, via cryptocurrency, through the postal mail, and more. And I just want to remind everyone to check and see if your employer matches donations. Most big corporations have some kind of charitable giving or match program, and you just need to talk to your HR person to find out if that's the case. Sometimes employers match 2 or 3 times, so make sure you're not leaving money on the table, especially if you've already made a gift. Finally, I want to bring us back to the reason why we're all here today, why the Tor Project asks for donations, and that's because we're a nonprofit. We are the antithesis of big tech, and building Tor requires community support. In the next year and over the next several years, we're going to be facing many attacks on privacy and freedom online, but Tor can help provide safety and security even during these circumstances. If you believe in the fight for human rights, including the right to freedom and privacy online, please make a gift to the Tor Project. We'll use your donation to make Tor faster, more stable, and easier to use, and in turn, you'll be helping millions of people safely access the free internet. Thank you so much for being here, and as you're watching today's event, please also consider supporting the organizations you see here today. For our upcoming segments, we'll continue the theme of empowering those who want to build safer privacy apps. Next, we're going to hear from Gosling with an update on the tools and documentation they are creating for app developers. And after that, we'll see a State of the Onion debut with Cwtch, a privacy-preserving messaging app utilizing v3 Onion services. Thanks so much.
Hi, my name is Morgan. Whenever I am not doing application stuff for the Tor project, I'm a software developer working on Gosling and Ricochet Refresh for Blueprint for Free Speech. Today, if you are a developer interested in building private and secure peer-to-peer applications, I would encourage you to consider using Gosling. So as a little bit of background, Gosling is a protocol and Rust library which sort of encapsulates and improves upon the peer-to-peer onion service-based authentication protocol found in Ricochet IM derived applications like Ricochet Refresh and Cwtch. Since it's built on Tor and Tor onion services, it inherits a whole bunch of nice properties around user anonymity and encryption and metadata resistance and all that kind of stuff. But also it takes into account some sort of peer-to-peer application specific considerations. The theme of the past year has been around quality and sort of generally a focus on improving or encouraging developer adoption. So to that end, we have worked on a whole bunch of stuff. First up on the list is language bindings. So I mentioned before that Gosling is a Rust crate. We have built a CFFI called cGosling, which exposes a C99 sort of API interface. From that cGosling library, we have also developed Java JNI bindings as well as Python bindings. So you can call Gosling from Rust, but also from all its other languages and anything really that understands C, which is most things. We've also developed an example chat application, actually 2 copies of the same application, one in Rust and one in C++. Rust one uses the Gosling crate directly, whereas the C++ version uses the cGosling library. It's basically a little toy chat application where you kind of manually interact with the Gosling protocol and with your peers and can send little chat messages back and forth. But it's basically just meant to be a very small and encapsulated proof of concept for developers to get an idea of how to use Gosling and its APIs. We have written a boatload of documentation. So we have a design doc, which kind of goes over the sort of properties of Gosling, what threat model is, what guarantees it can provide, what guarantees it can provide. We developed a usage guide as well as this example application I mentioned before. We also have auto-generated C++ API reference and auto-generated Java doc API reference for the Gosling JNI library. We've added support for additional Tor configuration. So previously, the last time I was talking about this, we only supported very basic bundled Tor configuration. So in the past year, we've added support for system Tor, so you can specify the control port and the control port password and all the other sort of configuration options for use in a system which has a single Tor instance. We've also added additional configuration options for our bundled Tor instance. So basically, all the little options that are available to you on About Preferences connection in Tor browser, we have exposed the exact same stuff for your Gosling configuration. So bridges, pluggable transports, proxy information, that kind of thing. We have also developed an experimental RD client backend using the network team's RD client crate. So it's still experimental, and so it obviously shouldn't be used for anything real, at least until the network team gives the go-ahead to go and use RD client for stuff that's real. But it's there and it's under kind of constant development as upstream's APIs change. Also, all of these sort of Tor implementations or wrappers, I guess you could say, are available for other applications without Gosling at all. There's the Tor interface crate, which is published on crates.io. We developed a boatload of tests, and they all run in CI, and every time a branch is pushed. So we have really good test coverage for all of our new Rust crates. We have excellent test coverage for the CFFI. We have very basic tests for the Java JNI wrapper, as well as the C and C++ FFI. And like I said before, all this stuff is run in CI. We also have fuzz tests for all the Rust crates, so it's very tested. We just completed our second security review. Only found one minor issue in the JNI bindings, which was trivial to fix. You can go and read that at that link, as well as our previous security review from last year, I believe. So what's next? So Gosling is in a fairly stable state. I'm pretty confident because it's called beta at this point. The APIs are mostly final, but you can probably expect a bit of flux, but sort of broad strokes of how the library works is not going to change in a major way. Bug fixes and performance improvements, of course, and our next kind of like big ticket item is integration of this library back into Ricochet Refresh, which was in part kind of the whole point of all this. And with that, I would encourage you to try it. Like I said before, it's published on Crace.io. All the sources up on GitHub. Our website has a ton of documentation and specs and everything you as a developer could possibly want. So yeah, please go check it out and file bugs or contribute. All the usual developer stuff. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah, and this is Dan, and we are here today from the Open Privacy Research Society to talk to you about Cwtch. Cwtch is a peer-to-peer decentralized privacy messaging application and associated protocol based on Tor v3 Onion services. If you're wondering, Cwtch is a Welsh word that roughly translates to a hug that creates a safe space. Cwtch is based on 3 tenets. The first is that Cwtch is decentralized and open. That means that there's no Cwtch service or Cwtch network. We're not the arbiters of anything. Anyone is free to take the Cwtch source code or take our libraries and build bots, new interfaces, whatever they want. And they can talk to Cwtch users without any input from us. Second is privacy preserving. As we've mentioned, all communication over Cwtch takes place over v3 Onion services. We also provide another layer of encryption on top of that provides certain end-to-end properties like forward secrecy. And the third is metadata resistance through consentful design. This means that Cwtch doesn't do anything unexpected without the user's explicit consent. More risky features like groups or image sharing or image previewing within the app are strictly gated.
Who's using it? To start with, we are. Open Privacy has been dogfooding and using Cwtch in our daily communication and coordination for the last 6 years. As a privacy project, we have no strong metrics about who uses Cwtch. The best answer we have to who uses Cwtch is we have no idea. We do see Cwtch addresses listed by individuals and organizations on their websites and social media. We also get a trickle of anonymous contributors, people who show up via email or in Cwtch itself, and share support for completely new languages, or bug reports, or a feature idea, or just a thank you, and then they vanish forever. That could be one prolific person, or a dozen different ones. We don't really know. And we think that's pretty cool. We do know that new releases result in a torrent of download traffic, with the latest release having been downloaded more than 8,000 times across various platforms, not including a few thousand Google Play installs and installation via other distribution mechanisms like UpdateBot, which we don't track. UpdateBot is a Cwtch bot that will let you know when a new version of Cwtch is available, and if you have file sharing enabled, you can have it share the latest version with you. As a result, we have a growing and healthy community contributing in different ways. The results are compelling. Cwtch has been translated into over 20 different languages, covering 5 continents. We also occasionally get sent or find write-ups, tutorials, and reviews written by others, like one for Korean users from last year, and Cwtch's inclusion in a Pets app list by It's Going Down.
The community also drives a lot of new feature support. Just this year, they've helped us add better support for Unix, Gentoo builds, macOS legacy build support, as well as dozens of performance improvements and UI improvements.
We are currently partway through a big upgrade to groups. We want to allow people to make the right trade-off when it comes to their own risk models, i.e., to be able to trade efficiency for trust when the decision makes sense. To do that, we are introducing a new class of groups into Cwtch, something we are calling hybrid groups. This will allow people to set up small, moderated groups that use only the peer-to-peer protocol, rather than the untrusted infrastructure approach that is the foundation of the current generation of Cwtch groups. We also want to expand development tooling and bots. We currently have a library for Go and bindings for Java, Kotlin, and Rust, based on a C header and library for anyone interested in building their own Cwtch bots or clients. As an example, we developed Fuzzbot, who is continually testing the Cwtch protocol and UI to help us discover potential bugs and security issues with new and experimental features. You can see it running here, sending a variety of malicious messages to us. You've already seen UpdateBot. And we have Fateway, a system daemon that can send notifications over Cwtch, with an eye to being a partial drop-in replacement for SendMail in some use cases, be that sending notification of an important logging event, or sending out-of-band user sign-up confirmation codes. There are many other applications that could be built on top of Cwtch, and some ideas we'd love to expand on are microblogging, bulletin boards, and other social collaboration spaces. We're always working on improving the user experience. We like UI maximalism and have a set of designer-created, built-in themes, including Cwtch, Neon, Pumpkin, Vampire, Witch, and Synergy. The most recent version of Cwtch also allows importing of custom themes.
We are a small team of volunteers, and we are very dependent on donations to the Open Privacy Research Society to support this work. You can go to Cwtch.im to download the latest version of the Cwtch UI and also find instructions there for contacting with Fuzzbot and getting an invite to the Cwtch testers group, where you can chat with the dev team, us, and let us know your thoughts, bug reports, features, ideas, that kind of thing. We are always around and willing to chat. I would like to say a big thank you to the Tor Project for having us today. And if you've got any questions at all, feel free to reach out to us either in the chat or afterwards via email or Cwtch. Thank you.
And thank you to Sarah, Morgan, and Dan. My name is Pavel. I work for the Tor Project. I'll be navigating the upcoming segments. And today, everything is all about community. And so it's great to see some of the apps in action and also see how community is driving new feature development. This brings us actually to our next speaker, who will also talk about their development pipeline. We'll have Holmes from Cwtch coming up. Cwtch is a peer-to-peer Tor-based messaging app built for organizations who deal with sensitive information and who want security and team features without the need to host their own servers. We'll learn more about their plans for message layer encryption and user removal.
Hi, my name's Holmes Wilson, and I'm from Cwtch. Cwtch is a peer-to-peer, Tor-based messaging app built for organizations that need both the security of Signal and the team features of Slack, but do not want to be hosting their own server. I've been calling Cwtch a slackier Signal because everything is end-to-end encrypted. We're planning on supporting disappearing messages, just like Signal, but you can also create channels and have team-level access control the way you can in Slack. We're also planning to support Slack-like features such as threads. So here is Cwtch running on desktop. Here is Cwtch running on Android. I can send myself a message. I'll send myself a zombie. Ugh, there's a scary zombie. And Cwtch is very simple for now. Right now I can create a community. I can create channels. I can invite members. I can send images. I can send files. And I can also set my profile image here. But Cwtch still has some major limitations that make it not quite ready for organizations to use every day. For example, you cannot remove users. There are no DMs or private channels, and I can't have the same account on my computer as on my phone. As you can see here, I'm Holmes Phone 2024 on my phone and Holmes on my computer. These are all a big deal. So our plan is to address these shortcomings by adding a layer of message encryption. Right now, messages are just encrypted in transit over the Tor network. Each of these clients is running a Tor Onion service. They connect to each other over Tor and exchange messages on a peer-to-peer network. But by adding message layer encryption, we enable the possibility of supporting a lot of those missing features. We'll be able to support direct messages, private channels, roles, linking multiple devices, that is having the same username on my phone as on my computer, and removing users or devices. Also, because messages won't just be encrypted in transit, this will let us offer an optional server for storage of messages to support notifications on iOS. Right now, notifications don't work that well in Quiet on iOS because iOS doesn't let us run in the background, so there's nothing there to receive them. But by having a server, we can address that shortcoming. So that's our upcoming work on message layer encryption. We've also been doing a ton of user research on account recovery and with different activist and journalist organizations, and I would love to present that because I'm pretty excited about it. So let's see. This is how account recovery will look. This is just a clickable prototype. Someone who wants to recover their account can join a community. They choose recover account. If they have a linked device, they can recover with a linked device here. Or they can just request an invite link from an admin. We tell them to go get an invite link. Then once they go get an invite link from their admin, it looks like this. They might get a message in Signal with the invite link. They can click to join the community. Then they have the option to create a new account or recover an old account. So if they're recovering an account, here they can enter a written down recovery key if they've already done that. This will give them access to their old username and all of their DMs. If they don't have it, they can just skip and they get access, they can create a new account. So they'll lose access to DMs, but they'll be able to get access to the rest of the community. We are pretty excited about this. We also made an interesting discovery in our account recovery research, which is that users, the users we've spoken with, actually prefer like not having to deal with recovery codes ever, and would even prefer giving the admins in their organization the power to recover their old DMs, despite the privacy leak to admins, rather than having to recover or think about recovery codes themselves. So that was a really interesting discovery. I would love to talk shop with anyone who's doing this kind of research on user needs. And yeah, finally, Quiet is actively looking for volunteers. Our stack is mostly JavaScript and React Native, so it will be familiar to anyone who has done any web development. So if you would like to help build an application that lets organizations and doing sensitive work escape the chaos of Signal and the security problems of Slack, please reach out to me. My email address is holmes@tryquiet.org. All right, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Holmes. And while we're on the subject of helping organizations that support communities and those who are doing sensitive work, I'm happy to welcome Glenn to the stage today. Glenn is working for HushLine, and whether it's newsrooms, schools, or community organizers, him and his team are supporting those that need an anonymous tip line that is safe for anyone to use without compromising their identity. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us live today.
Thanks for having me, Pavel. Let me share my screen. Okay. All right. So thank you again for having me. It's really an honor to be a part of the Tor community and to be invited to present to everyone today. I'm Glenn. I run the nonprofit. It's a new 501c3 nonprofit in the United States called Science and Design. I also serve on the board of advisors for Distributed Denial of Secrets, and also a 501c3 publishing hacked and leaked data that serves the public interest. For the last 10 years, I've been in big tech. I've been a product designer and a user researcher, and during that time, I've also been contributing in the open source nonprofit space, starting way back in the day with Signal, then Onion Share, Calyx OS, DDoS, and when I hit a crossroads in my career, hitting my 10-year mark in big tech, I just thought, wow, I'm much more passionate about this other stuff. Let me just dive into it head first. And we started Science and Design. I'm also a military whistleblower. Way back in the day, I was in the situation where I had to report my commanding officer. Yes, I was in the military. It's kind of crazy to even think about. So the HushLine team, we have an amazing team. You know some of these people already. Micah Lee, we all love Micah. He does all things from architecture to engineering. He has a great eye for design and product and business. Jeremy Moore, I don't know how many of you know him yet, but I hope that people do get to know him soon. He's an amazing engineer. He previous Google, Twilio, HashiCorp, really, really deep in the open source business side as well. And then one individual called Brassy, an amazing contributor both to us and to DDoS, and again, an everything engineer, multi-talented. I feel so lucky for the team that we have. So before kind of going into the product, we are a whistleblower management platform. What is a whistleblower? A whistleblower is an insider to an organization who wants to expose wrongdoing. You can also think about this as a concerned employee. Whistleblowing is synonymous with employee reporting, and many times people don't consider themselves a whistleblower when they report information. Zooming out a little bit, excuse me, in the workplace, more than half of us will either witness or experience workplace harassment or discrimination. 30% of those 60% will ever make a formal written complaint, and then about 1 in 400 will ever find a successful or a satisfactory legal resolution. This dramatic gap in reporting to success and also occurrences to the reports, it is because of a fear of retaliation that drives silence. And I think that that's something that we have an opportunity to try to address. And it's kind of crazy, because if businesses were incentivized to get ahead of various issues that whistleblowers always raise, they could avoid amazing legal fees. Since 2000, the SEC has only the SEC has collected over $43 billion. In the United States, there's now a program through the SEC for corporate crime. So that just the number is going to go up. And in the United States, whistleblowers receive a payment of the total claim. So 10 to 30%. Some whistleblowers are making $10 million to do the right thing. Now, it's a very dangerous path, but there are more and more avenues for people to be successful doing this type of work. We're also a cross-industry tool. So we want to see an impact and a presence in schools as well, all kinds of schools. In the United States, about 3/4 of schools every day will have at least one criminal occurrence incident. As we get from grade school up to university, the crimes become much more serious, where almost half of those crimes are sexual assault. How can we make a presence to make reporting easy, safe, and anonymous on school campuses? And then, the realities of big journalism right now is that from 2008 to 2020, there was a 25% decrease in headcount. Teams are getting smaller, budgets are getting smaller, and the products that we offer to this community, to these professionals, should also change, given the circumstances. So what is HushLine? HushLine is a network of people, and it's a messaging app. We know that whistleblowing is dangerous. It most times leads to career loss. A lot of times there's impacts on family. I spoke to someone this week who's about to lose their home, their car, and it's all because they wanted to speak up in a big corporation, a big international corporation. And many times when people go into sharing or disclosing information, they go into it maybe without a plan, or the most rational plan, we can say, right? Because it's a very emotional time. Oftentimes you're already being attacked internally, so you're in this defensive mode. And that leads you sometimes to make decisions that aren't in your favor. For example, sometimes a lawyer might need one photo of one email showing wrongdoing in a company in order for them to have some grounds to take action. But if a person doesn't know that, and instead they steal 1 million documents, it becomes a completely different situation. If in some cases you go to the press before going to a lawyer, especially in national security cases, you waive any protections that you might have. In the United States, there are 18, maybe over 18 now, different whistleblowing pieces of legislation per industry. It's impossible to know how to do the right thing if you don't go into it with a plan. So we want people to join the platform who are relevant to whistleblowers, lawyers, journalists, educators, business people, former whistleblowers, because we want to be that introduction point so that when someone needs help, they don't have to go looking. If they find HushLine, they can find a public directory of verified users who are relevant in some way that can help them. We're also an anonymous encrypted messenger. One of our strengths is that we remove all obstacles from the whistleblower. So if someone needs help, we want to allow them to reach someone without having to create an account, without having to download any new software, without having to do anything that doesn't come native on a stock phone or a computer. So we offer HushLine as a ClearNet URL, but also as an onion address to satisfy a range of use cases, from just kind of the benign things that you might want to just reach out to someone on a regular web URL, or if you really need higher levels of protection and anonymity, you can use our onion service, and I'll show you that soon. So we're new. We launched our managed service this year at DEF CON, but we have made some really good inroads, especially with support from the Tor Project. The internal folks there have been so supportive. Pavel, Al, Isa, vocal supporters. I can't thank you enough. We also have organizations like Whistleblowers of America. We have journalists from BBC, ABC News, Cyberscoop, the United Nations Development Program, as well as other businesses. Nathan is on HushLine and Guardian Project, as well as lawyers from firms that have represented Facebook whistleblowers, Theranos whistleblowers, and Boeing whistleblowers as well. We're working right now with the DC Public School System, Dunbar Public High School, to get a pilot program of HushLine into the school. I'm working with one of the educators and scholars there, and we're working through ways to educate students, but also staff, into how to use this tool, whether it's placing signs, behind a stall in the bathroom, so that when a student discovers that they can send a message to a tip line, they're not scanning a QR code in public and outing themselves, for example. But also putting links on the website and email signatures and so on. Companies like Can Global Media, they are putting their HushLine address in different policies on their website. We're seeing people also do this on their social media sites. But besides who I've already highlighted, and it was a wide swath of people and organizations, this is a cross-industry, pretty general purpose messenger. Everyone has a need for anonymous messaging. If you manage a team of any size, if you have any authority in any context to change a thing for the better, you have a need for anonymous messaging. Activists and organizers, so they can stop sharing phone numbers or email addresses. Employers and investors, how do we get businesses to incentivize reporting in their companies? This is kind of against, I think, a lot of the business philosophy. So we have to think about strategic ways to make inroads there. Journalists and newsrooms, we're seeing people adopt HushLine already and get really excited about it. Some people that I haven't listed as well on that slide, or that's listed in the public directory, and schools and educators. What's also different about Science and Design and HushLine, so we have received a grant for HushLine, and we are so thankful. It allowed us to get from a beta prototype to a full production app with amazing features, where we could hire an amazing team. And that said, I think that for a sustainable model moving forward, I have been thinking about, what are ways that we can potentially, if need be, break free from the grant cycle. Let's say there's a hostile government that is coming in that might upend everything, for everybody. How do we stay afloat in the face of some very potential catastrophic, future events? We're thinking about, so we have software as a service, which is both paid and free. Our free tier does everything that an individual needs for a tip line. I think that it'll satisfy the vast majority of people that need a tip line. We also have, if for professionals or for businesses who need to manage multiple tip lines from a single account, then we get into paid services. And some organizations need their own instance of HushLine. They like HushLine. They don't want to use HushLine.app. We can manage a platform deployed to your own infrastructure for you. We manage the infrastructure. We have all that kind of figured out, and you pay a tiny fee compared to hiring a developer to do anything. We already have customers in both of those camps. It's a work in progress. Always thinking through strategy. If anyone on the call or in the community has thoughts about this, please reach out. We also have hardware, which is paid. I don't think that that's going to be the thing that drives our sustainability, but hardware is an option, custom designed hardware. And then for the individuals who just want HushLine and don't want to mess with us, you can just DIY it for free. And what's kind of interesting about us is that we're also a microeconomic tool. So we've integrated Stripe into HushLine in order so we can charge a subscription fee. That code is still in our repo. So I don't think that I'm going to be able to reach every single market in the world. I don't think that I should reach every single market in the world. So if someone out there wants to deploy HushLine to their own servers and start monetizing, you can absolutely do that. Everything is set up for you. So we don't want to keep anything proprietary for ourselves. We also think about the competitive landscape objectively. We're trying to think about how we can always make our product better, what other tools are doing that we should emulate, and so on and so forth. And it's demo time, and I'm going to be done here in just a second. Sorry that I'm taking so long. So let's look at HushLine. Let me see. Well, maybe we'll have to do it in Chrome instead of Tor browser. I don't see how I can share my whole screen here. Oh, here it is. Here we are. Okay, here we are in Tor browser. Someone stumbles onto the HushLine site. They're looking for help. They're a whistleblower. Oh, look, I see an Onion available badge in the header. But I see that I can either register a tip line if I need a tip line or get help. So I click get help. I get redirected to the public directory for the HushLine app. Users can opt in if they want, and then I can just scroll here, search here, find folks that I need to message. We're end-to-end encrypted. So, oh, I found myself. And now, so as a whistleblower, I don't have to do anything, create an account, even leave my contact information. It can just be like an old school shoebox on a desk, drop a note, keep going for the whistleblower who wants to help but doesn't want to, get involved necessarily. We use openpgp.js, basic CAPTCHA to prevent spam. You can see that the message gets encrypted in your browser before it sends. And then I will receive this message in my email inbox. In this case, Proton. We have a really great integration with Proton so that everything lands in my inbox, decrypted for me already. I can see that this is a verified user. I know that I'm not sending a message to the wrong person. And just like that, as a whistleblower, I could be done with the engagement. So I'm over time. I'm so excited to have gotten to show this to you. If you want to learn more about anything, go to hushline.app. You can contribute at github.com/scienceanddesign/hushline. Reach out to me on Signal, wherever. Thank you so much, Pavel, for having me. And back to you.
No, thank you so much, Glenn. And also thank you for really doing the work to lower the barriers for whistleblowers. I think it is so important to have the feature of connecting sources or whistleblowers with the right targets. So that's personally something that I'm very excited about. And like you mentioned, right, now is the time more so than ever to provide and restore people with access to information. And this is where our next speaker, Brewster, is coming in. Brewster is the founder and director of the Internet Archive. And he's here to talk to us about the recent onionization of the Internet Archive. Welcome, Brewster.
Thank you, Pavel, and appreciate it. So the Internet Archive is diving in to build its own Onion service, and it's now running, and we're quite happy with it. So I thought I'd just say a little bit of our experience on this and why we did it. We're a nonprofit research library. Libraries, you may know, are under attack. There's the book bannings and sort of criminalization of librarianship, which is kind of awful happening in the United States. People showing up at reading time with AK-47s, terrific. But we're also seeing defundings going on in the United States. I'd say that the biggest existential threat to libraries is actually coming from the publishers that are doing a license-only model, that you're not allowed as a library or as people to buy ebooks, that they basically want it as part of their streaming service such that they can change or delete anything at any time, and they do, while still milking the library system for billions of dollars a year, and basically keeping it controlled such that it really doesn't go to authors or local communities. great. So that's bad. The judiciary is now actively backing the publishers, and it's not just against us, but against other libraries that are being sued by the publishers. And now we have cyber attacks, which is kind of awesome. Internet Archive's gotten hit, but also Calgary Public Library, Seattle Public Library, Toronto Public Library, the British Library was hit last year, and all of its services are not up even yet. I think most of them are from many of these libraries, but not all. So anyway, it's a tough time to be a library. And if you want to basically distribute information in a land of rising authoritarianism and corporations that don't want people to be able to have access to information, then we're in trouble. So the Internet Archive is looking to do more of the things that it's always done and try to protect itself as these things are going through. And so this is the headquarters building in San Francisco. This is Internet Archive Canada in Vancouver. Please visit these places and support them. They're wonderful and worth supporting physically. There's a really good book, You Can't Escape a Talk with a Librarian Without a Recommendation for a Book. This is from a publisher that's suing us, but it's still a really great book. It's the Library of Fragile History. It's basically what happens to libraries. Spoiler alert, it's not good. So anyway, that's a highly recommended book to sort of the history of libraries and how they've done over time. So what have we done? We now have a Onion service integrated with the Internet Archive. This is the Tor browser running with the Internet Archive, the Brave browser running the Internet Archive. And I'd like to, say hats off to Onion Spray, which helped power our service and make it so that we could do this. But it still took a long time for a very sophisticated developer to get the Internet Archive working as an Onion service. So I think there are some things we can do better. Why did we do it? We've always been protecting reader privacy by trying to throw away IP addresses, but that's actually not always that possible. And so we do as good a job as we can, and you don't really trust necessarily somebody else to throw your IP address away. So this is a, check, we get reader privacy by doing this. But why do an Onion service as opposed to just being available through the Tor browser as archive.org? Well, it also has this nice thing about being resilient against DNS blocks, which in India is starting to be used as part of the copyright cartel mechanism of trying to dispense with websites that it doesn't like. And so every so often in the archive.org disappears in parts of India. Also the SOPA PIPA thing, if you remember back in the day with Aaron Schwartz, and we blacked out Wikipedia, Internet Archive, EFF, and a bunch of other Reddit organizations to try to stop that bill, and we did. From what I hear, it's coming back in Washington, D.C., that the copyright folks are feeling now is a good time to go back at it and basically mess with the DNS system. And so this has a nice characteristic there. And the idea is also to get to server privacy and normalize server privacy. So it's harder to know where things are being served from. And this is not an easy thing to do, even with the Tor Onion service, but that's one of the reasons why we're doing it. And one of the other reasons, Isabella, the exec director, is awesome, came to visit us. And so it re-sparked our interest. It's part of our decentralized web initiative. So can we go and not just do this for the Internet Archive, but can we do this for everybody? This is the picture of the last DWeb camp, which is really fun. Please come. Please support the Internet Archive and DWeb and build a better web. For next, what we would like to see is basically Onion services just being the next natural stage past HTTPS. So EFF and others really helped get us to upgrade the whole internet to basically let's encrypt, and such that encryption was on by default and is now expected. And there was a lot of work to try to make that easy, and it's actually not all that easy because getting certificates is a pain in the neck. But people went through it. Can we get everyone basically doing Onion services? Can we make that expected? Also, can we have Onion URLs start to just work on websites? What would it take if Wikipedia references had Onion URLs? So it's HTTP and then that long hash .onion/ URL. Wouldn't that be awesome? And we need browser support for that. And Brave, which is kind of great, but they basically do the sort of moving over into Torland as sort of this big dramatic jump into an anonymized window, as opposed to just thinking of it as yet another URL. Can we make it so that all sorts of different kinds of URLs, whether it's IPFS, storage with a J, torrent URLs, any kinds of URLs are respected in the new generation browser. Mosaic, for those of us that are really old, remember that it was a conjunction of many different protocols in one browser. That was what NCSA made before Netscape. It was the web and Waze and FTP and Gopher. And so can we do this again with this generation protocols? And can we make making an Onion service for your own website or your blog or whatever it is you're doing really easy? And that's it for me. And I thank you very much. Please use the Internet Archive through Tor, and thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Well, actually, thank you so much, and for raising all these important questions about how we can make Onion services more ubiquitous. We're moving right on to our next and second to last presenter. We are joined by Arturo from OONI with updates on the 2024 censorship events and an outlook on your roadmap for next year.
Hi, Pavel. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. So I'm here today to tell you a bit about what's been going on in the Universe, and what holds for what plans we have for the future. So to start off, OONI, as maybe you are aware of, is an internet measurement project that maps internet censorship around the world. And I would like to start off by telling you a bit what's been happening in the world of internet censorship, with some highlights from some of the reports that we published and some of the findings that you will find on OONI Explorer. One of the reports that we published this year touched upon TLS man-in-the-middle attacks that we found to be used in Kazakhstan, where basically a government-mandated root certificate authority, which was being told to install on people's browsers, was being used to carry out a variety of man-in-the-middle attacks on several websites. We also found the blocking affecting several news media sites, petition websites, and even censorship circumvention tool sites like the Tor Project. Internet censorship, though, is not something that we are immune to here in Europe. So we published a paper in collaboration with some of my co-authors at Cwtch this year, documenting the extent of the blocks affecting Russian media sites across Europe. And some of the findings, I guess, not too surprisingly, were that the blocks were not implemented consistently across all internet service providers, nor within a certain country, nor across countries themselves. And you can find that more information on that in this year's edition of Cwtch. We also published, through our new censorship findings page, 2 new findings, 12 new censorship findings, and you can find these on OONI Explorer. Speaking of OONI Explorer, this was the year that Russia started blocking OONI Explorer itself. So in September, we got a notification from Roskomnadzor, which is the regulator responsible for implementing censorship in Russia, asking us to basically take down a page of OONI Explorer that contained censorship circumvention advice And we were told that we had 24 hours to comply with this restriction, otherwise our site would be blocked. What they did not know is that we're actually monitoring the blocking of Explorer in places like Russia. So we actually knew that they had already blocked it, even though they had notified us that we had 24 hours to block it. So it wouldn't have made much of a difference if we were to have removed that content. OONI data was also used as part of many third-party research. So, for example, Tor Project, in collaboration with their partners, as part of the EMAP project, published 9 country reports. OONI data was also cited in 35 out of the 72 Freedom of the Net reports from Freedom House, as well as several other research, either in academic papers or other researchers by people studying internet censorship. On the software front, I'll provide some more updates of what has been what we've been working on. So this year we launched a new major version of OONI Run called OONI Run V2, where basically it's now possible for people to create links that then get updated over time. And these links are then installed inside of our OONI Probe app. And through these mobile deep links, people are able to configure a specific set of targets to test. So these are very helpful when people want to do particular types of studies, maybe focusing on a particular theme or a particular topic, and they don't want to go through the normal process of adding these targets to the canonical OONI testing list. They can create an OONI Run link and they can share it with their community. And previously you had to reshare these links in order for the new changes to propagate. Whereas now these links, you just share it once, it gets installed inside of the OONI Probe app, and it becomes a new card that then is automatically updated whenever you make some changes to the original OONI Run link. And thanks to this feature, we continued the development and release of a mobile app that we've been building in collaboration with Deutsche Welle, which basically is a reskinned version of OONI Probe that focuses on measuring news media censorship. And Deutsche Welle curates a list of OONI Run links that are then installed inside of this version of their app. And they're able to promote it to their audience so that they can test only the blocking of news media. On the experiment front, we've been moving forward our throttling methodology by publishing some new documentation about it. Our OTF ICFP fellow has been working on the OpenVPN experiment, which has been shipped. And we're also working on a new encrypted client hello test, which will be enabled by default in the next release of OONI Probe. Other software improvements include some changes to OONI Explorer, a big change related to the complete rewrite, basically, of OONI Probe apps to be a unified cross-platform code base. And we're now at a point where we basically have reached feature parity with the current app on the mobile platforms. The work on our new major revision of the data processing pipeline is also underway and progressing very well. On the community side, we organized a partner gathering in Malaysia, which brought together our partners from Asia and Middle East. You can find a video on YouTube talking a bit more about that. We also established several new partnerships, published new community interviews, updated the outreach kit in new translated languages, and facilitated workshops training over 400 participants around the world. And this does not include workshops that were facilitated by our partners and broader community members. So what's next? Some of the main things we have coming up next are releasing some thematic censorship pages in OONI Explorer, which allow you to see findings that we have with respect to OONI data about social media, news sites, and censorship circumvention tools. We also are planning to ship in production this new major version of the pipeline. as well as a new social media censorship alert system. This cross-platform rewrite of the OONI probe apps will also be shipped. And we'll start working on a new anonymous credential system, which will allow us to have greater trust in the OONI measurements. I will leave you with a shameless plug to our donation campaign, which you can find more information at the links here, where you can get some swag to enrich your home or your apparel, or you can directly donate to support the work that we do. Thank you very much for having me today, and back to you, Pavel.
Thank you,
or to Raya.
It's actually me. And yeah, in fact, on the Tor community team, we collaborate closely with OONI to understand where and how censorship is happening and learn how we can offer support to as tool builders and as circumvention tool builders to people around the world. And since you talked a bit about some of the work OONI has been doing this year, I thought I'd close out today's event by doing somewhat the same with an update from Tor's events and activities from this year and what we plan to take part in next year. All right. So at Tor, we've been doing a variety of stuff to reach a bit of a more global audience. Since 2024, since it was the year with the largest number of elections, we worked closely with the Keep It On coalition and partners to understand and maybe preempt potential censorship and full internet shutdowns. This translated in developing online outreach on using circumvention tech like Tor to prepare when the internet is throttled. We have also worked closely with reproductive justice organizations to create outreach campaigns on one, how to access reproductive healthcare safely and in full privacy, and two, how to counter censorship of online services related to abortion access. Our latest work was with our friends Repro Uncensored and Plan C Pills, and you can see screenshots here on the right side of the screen. We have also run various in-person Tor and Tails trainings in Dakar, where FIF Africa was held, as well as in Estoril, where Team Community holds the global gathering, and where we held a relay workshop. And throughout 2024, you might have met at least one person in Tor's team at the following conferences and gatherings, whether they're hacker conferences, digital rights gatherings, or convenings for human rights defenders. I think we've been to almost everything we could possibly be in. And we plan to be at the following events next year, whether it's RightsCon in Taipei, the International Journalism Festival in Perugia in Italy, Global Investigative Journalism Conference in Kuala Lumpur, the FIFA, we don't know where it's going to be held yet, Global Gathering, DEF CON, CCC, and many, many, many more. At RightsCon, look out for these sessions. We're going to be holding and facilitating the following sessions with our friends from Surveillance Watch, Mulvad, and Amnesty Security Lab. We're going to talk about metadata privacy. With other friends, we're going to talk about the market of censorship circumvention tech in Turkmenistan. We're also going to be partnering with OONI on a session about measuring and circumventing internet censorship. We're going to talk about Ola Bini's case and the criminalization of Tor in Ecuador, and in Sudan, the internet shutdowns happening in the ongoing conflict. All right, thank you for attending the second day of the 2024 State of the Onion. We wish you all a kind rest of the year and free Palestine.